Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Greetings from the Red Sea. This video that I'm recording over is it's a Christian video, and it's about scuba diving in the Red Sea. There have been people who have said that they found evidence of the story that we're going to see today in Exodus chapter 14. So let's dive right in. And the Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites that they must turn and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. You are to camp by the sea before Baal Zephon, opposite it." And they're going to be trapped. They're going to be there. They're trapped between the devil and the deep blue sea, as they say. Pharaoh will think regarding the Israelites, they are wandering around confused in the land. The desert has closed in on them. So he's got spies somehow. He sent them out, but he's looking for them. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after them. I will gain honor because of Pharaoh and because of all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So this is what they did. When it was reported to the king of Egypt that the people had fled, the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. That's the people of Israel and the mixed multitude who had left. And the king and his servants said, "What in the world have we done? For we have released the people of Israel from serving us." Then he prepared his chariots and took his army with him. He took 600 select chariots and all the rest of the chariots of Egypt and officers on all of them. So now they're like right there where they have the Red Sea in front of them and Egypt behind them. But the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he chased after the Israelites. Now the Israelites were going out defiantly. The Egyptians chased after them, and all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army overtook them camping by the sea, besides Pi-hahiroth before Baal Zephon. So they're right where they're supposed to be, where God wants them to be. But, and on this video, it's trying to show places where they could have crossed. And we see this is like some brutal looking land. That's a topographical map, and it's very mountainous and desert-like. Look at it. When Pharaoh got closer, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them, and they were terrified. The Israelites cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the desert? What in the world have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Isn't this what we told you in Egypt? Leave us alone so that we can serve the Egyptians, because it is better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses said to the people, "Do not fear. Stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord that he will provide for you today. For the Egyptians that you see today, you will never, ever see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you can be still. So now in this video, it looks like they've found a spot that could hold millions of people. And I would suggest that if you're watching my video, that you check this video out, and you check this ministry out too. I don't know if they have compelling evidence, but they have very interesting evidence. I can't imagine that they made all this up, but I believe that this story happened. So I also believe that it's possible that you could go out there and find a bunch of chariots at the bottom of the Red Sea. And the Lord will fight for you, and He's fighting for them now. You know, there's a war going on over in Israel with Gaza. And, you know, the world is all taking sides, and most people are against Israel. And some people want to go over there and help them fight and all that, but we don't need to fight for Israel, because the God who said that He would fight for them is still fighting for them. The Lord said to Moses, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. And as for you, lift up your staff and extend your hand toward the sea and divide it, so that the Israelites may go through the middle of the sea on dry ground." And we're seeing right now what that may have looked like. "And as for me, I am going to harden the hearts of the Egyptians, so that they will come after them, that I may be honored because of Pharaoh and his army, and his chariots and his horsemen. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I have gained my honor because of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." The angel of God, who was going before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. So, the angel of God, not an angel of God, and there's probably millions of angels, but this is one. This is the angel of God, and many believe that it's a pre-incarnate reference to Jesus Christ. He's going to be protecting them. And this pillar of cloud, because it's daytime, so the pillar of cloud goes behind them. So Pharaoh's not even going to be able to see him. He's just going to see that. It came between the Egyptian camp and the Israelite camp. It was a dark cloud, and it lit up the night, so that one camp did not come near the other the whole night. So it's there overnight too. I don't dive anymore, but I would love to do this dive. "Moses stretched out his hand toward the sea, and the Lord drove the sea apart by a strong east wind all that night. And he made the sea into dry land, and the water was divided. So the Israelites went through the middle of the sea on dry ground, the water forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians chased them and followed them into the middle of the sea." So the pillar has now lifted the veil, so they're not protected by the pillar anymore. And they see the children of Israel, millions of them, walking through the Red Sea. But there's lionfish. They're an invasive species. And they go, yeah, let's chase after him. The Egyptians chased them and followed them into the middle of the sea, all the horses of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. In the morning watch, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw the Egyptian army into a panic. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's flee from Israel, for the Lord fights for them against Egypt." So they knew. The Lord said to Moses, "Extend your hand toward the sea, so that the waters may flow back on the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen." So Moses extended his hand toward the sea, and the sea returned to its normal state when the sun began to rise. Now the Egyptians were fleeing before it, but the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. The water returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh that was coming after the Israelites into the sea. So, not so much as one of them survived. But the Israelites walked on dry ground in the middle of the sea, the water forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. So the Lord saved Israel on that day from the power of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore of the sea. When Israel saw the great power that the Lord had exercised for the Egyptians, they feared the Lord and they believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses. So next time, we're going to take a look at the Song of Triumph. So now we're dealing with an ad. And this would be pretty interesting. I might even get this, if it's still available. That right there that they were looking at is what they believe might be a rock that Moses split. He used his staff and he whacked it, and water came out enough to give the Israelites, the mixed multitude, and oh look, they got a boat up there. And so they were looking at this thing that they believe might be that rock. So when they get through the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army is there, they sing a song. Miriam, Moses' sister, leads them in a song. And it's a beautiful song. Maybe I'll even do it on my guitar. So we haven't gotten to much of the part here where they found evidence. So let's take a look. Yeah, I thought they had. We're not going to spend a lot of time. So this looks like, that looks fake. So they're under there, and they're finding all kinds of stuff. I figured it would take 23 minutes to read this chapter, and it just didn't. So that looks like an axle from a chariot. Here's some more things. But anyway, I wanted to do something a little different this time. That maybe was a wheel. That last round thing looked like something fairly recent. Puffer fish. Okay, you found a shell, buddy. Good for you. So they're doing a safety stop, so they're going up. Anyway, we'll be looking at chapter 15 next. And then we get to see him wander for 40 years in the wilderness. Peace out, guys.